But in your morning, you're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Apples and hot water for deliberately slowing down its older iPhone models. We'll have that story coming up.
Give you an idea of what you're driving into before you leave. Absolute pea soup out there, so no surprise we've got a dense fog advisory. We're going to break down our timeline for when it will disperse, and also too get ready for some rain tomorrow, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And a lot of things on store shelves, yet again, in short supply and high demand. We'll take a look at why. The KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Another vaccine developer reports promising results in late-stage trials. AstraZeneca announced early this morning that its COVID-19 vaccine is around 90% effective in preventing the disease. An analysis of trials in the UK and Brazil reported no hospitalizations or severe cases in those who received the vaccine. AstraZeneca says it will now apply for emergency approval. McDonald County Sheriff's Office investigates a shooting death after finding a body at an apartment complex in Knoll. Authorities say little after 10 yesterday morning, Knoll's Marshal Office and Sheriff's deputies responded to a call of shots fired at the Knoll Heights apartments. A man's body was discovered with gunshot wounds in an apartment on the second floor. Witnesses identified a suspect who had fled the scene. That suspect is now in custody after an arrest in Benton County, Arkansas. No names are being released at this time. The Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas says it was victim of an armed robbery Saturday evening. It happened around 6 p.m. Surveillance video shows a man entering the Pittsburgh pharmacy. No one was injured during the incident. Pittsburgh police and the Crawford County K-9 unit responded. Anyone with information about the robbery should call Pittsburgh police. A church in Joplin wanted to show its giving spirit ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday, passing out blessing blankets to families in need yesterday. Celebration Church says need is great this year. Each basket comes with ingredients for Thanksgiving dinner classics like stuffing, green bean casserole, rolls, and more. People reserved their baskets ahead of time and met with church members who prayed with families before passing out the baskets along with turkey and pie.
We call it blessing baskets because we want people to be encouraged and strengthened with hope and know that we're a community that loves them. We don't judge them, but we care about them.
Volunteers distributed 100 baskets in total, their biggest haul yet. And while some people prefer a home-cooked Thanksgiving dinner, others enjoy going out to eat on the holiday, letting someone else do the dishes. But this year, thanks to COVID-19, Thanksgiving will look different for many families and restaurants. Finn's Restaurant in Joplin closes on Thanksgiving Day every year, but will be offering curbside pickup for holiday meals and will only be open for dinner the following day. The owner says he's seen more customers looking for an online ordering option as many people take COVID precautions and scale back their traditional large meals. Finn's typically stays busy in the days leading up to Thanksgiving and after on Black Friday, providing a nice boost in business to kick off the holiday season.
We already have the reservation book. It's filling up the day before, and we're starting to already get reservations for the evening after Thanksgiving where we're going to be open. And then of course our brunches are typically pretty busy. So it'll be exciting to see what the holiday, the brunch after holiday looks like.
Clark added the curbside option does benefit the restaurant and also customers, still providing them with a cooked meal, but allowing employees time off on Thanksgiving to see family. The Kansas City, Missouri Fire Department says 2 employees have died of COVID-19. Chief Donna Lake identified them as Captain Robert Roca and paramedic Scott Davidson. Roca was 60 years old and had served in the fire department for almost 3 decades. Davidson was 45 years old and had served 18 years. Lake says 73 members of the department are infected with COVID-19 right now. More than 100 others tested positive previously. With Christmas fast approaching, giving and goodwill is on the minds of many, and Saturday, a couple in Joplin decided to host a silent auction to help raise funds for Joplin's Shop with a Cop program. Officers will take children on a fun spending spree on December 4th, but there's a lot of kids they're hoping to shop for this year. Local businesses pitched in to help, providing items for the auction, all with one common goal: making Christmas merrier for FourState families.
Community businesses and some individuals to solicit for donations. So we've been very blessed to get a lot of different places here in town. Old Hickory Butcher, Fletcher Subaru, Discount Tire, G&S Graphics, many different places that donated some really nice items to help us raise money for the kids.
Items in the auction range from $25 to $500 in value. Canadian officials are warning people not to let moose lick their cars. That's for real. Authorities in Jasper in Canada's Alberta province have put up signs asking motorists to avoid allowing the moose to lick the salt off their cars. And moose find it hard to resist the salt that ends up on vehicles after it's been spread on winter roads. And many people at Jasper National Park stop on the side of the road to check out the moose. But officials say this can be dangerous when moose are too close to cars. When that happens, they ask people to simply drive away.
Ridiculous on the surface, but it's actually a serious problem.
You know, interesting fact about moose and the grammar of how to say moose. Moose, meese, mooses. They're all correct.
Okay.
Okay.
They're all correct.
Didn't know that. Cool.
You know what the fine is up there if you're caught like disturbing wildlife or like enticing a moose? $25,000. That's called we ain't messing around, folks.
So what is the protocol if a moose comes up to your car and starts trying to lick on it?
You drive away as soon as you see it. You drive away.
Drive away.
Because a moose is not afraid. That's why it's unique wildlife. Most wildlife, the sound of a horn or something like that, they're going to take off. Not the case with a moose.
What if the moose won't get out of the way to let you drive off?
Or what if they gang up on you?
Yeah,
what
if they come at you towards,
and you can't
like
get out?
from all directions and you can't go anywhere?
Your car's shot.
It's like,
done.
well, I got all this salt in my car.
Stay in your car.
They're not leaving until they lick
dial
that
911.
Mm-hmm.
I have after coming off of that trip, I got a new appreciation for those animals. That's they're amazing and kind of scary, to be honest with you. All right, we've got a dense fog advisory here in the 4 states lasting all the way until 9, even if your county is not indicated as such. Please know visibility numbers have decreased throughout the course of our morning. Like I said, Independence, Montgomery County, not necessarily part of that dense fog advisory, but look at our visibility, less than half a mile. So let's just all be careful out there. And here's the other thing I want to point out. Our temperatures right now, right at, if not below freezing. So you got to be careful. You've got to be wary of slick spots, not only on the road, bridges and overpasses, but also too, just walking on the sidewalk. Tell the kids to be careful on the way to the bus stop. Tell them to be careful, out on recess, because some of this is going to freeze in patches every now and then. Northwest is where we'll get clipped by rain. Here's a big one. We're going to break this down just a little bit. Tuesday, guys, is going to be a wet one, but at least we can get rid of everything before Thursday rolls around. Zach and Tanya.
Coming up, why you might not be in the clear even if you showed negative for a coronavirus test. We'll have that story coming up next.
And we'll get some laughs with one of the newest members of the Oklahoma City Zoo. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
So you took a COVID-19 test and your results were negative. You're in the clear, right? Well, not necessarily. Britt Conway has the latest from doctors who say a negative test isn't always enough to know if you're truly COVID-free.
November isn't even over, and the U.S. has already seen more new COVID-19 cases than any other month of this entire pandemic. Yes, there is good news on the vaccine front, but for now,
you have to really be careful.
And part of being careful is understanding the limitations of testing. Doctors Amy Compton-Phillips and Ashish Jha explain.
A negative test does not give you a pass.
When you first get exposed to the coronavirus, your levels are pretty low and then they rapidly increase over the first 5 days.
Think of it this way.
Let's say yesterday I was exposed. If I go get tested today, I won't be positive. But in 2 or 3 days, I might turn positive and I will start being infectious and spreading it even before I have symptoms.
And remember, the incubation period can be up to 14 days. Now, they say the kind of test you get can make a difference, but there are some things to consider there, too.
So the antigen tests we know have real issues with false negatives. The PCR test, the line between positive and negative is kind of inconclusive. And so you heard early on in the pandemic when people would test negative and then they test positive again. And that's because their viral load might be just going above and below that line.
At the end of the day, both doctors agree testing isn't perfect. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Well, the FDA on Saturday granted emergency use authorization to pharmaceutical company Regeneration for the first antibody cocktail for COVID-19. When administered together, the antibody cocktail has shown signs of lowering the amount of virus and reducing lung damage in trials. Now, this experimental therapy is the same cocktail that was given to President Trump when he was infected with the virus last October. Adult and pediatric patients with mild to moderate COVID-19 will be eligible to receive this treatment. Great news. European researchers have developed a non-invasive leg cuff that measures strength and speed when babies kick. The device monitors nerve cells in the spine and could one day help spot early signs of motor disorders, including cerebral palsy. Well, imagine waiting nearly 12 hours just to get your hands on a hamburger. Well, it happened at InNOut Burger in Aurora, Colorado on Friday, where people waited hours at the newly opened, much anticipated national burger chain. It comes ahead of the start of the new coronavirus restrictions that will close indoor dining for restaurants in multiple counties across the state. Aurora, Colorado police were on traffic control in an attempt to handle the line of cars sneaking around the area. Snacking around the area?
Distancing. By the way, I was disinfecting my hands, is what I was doing.
We do have hand sanitizer all over the building. It's nice.
Right. No, there was something about watching those people that made me want to disinfect. I'm kidding. It was not that.
The babies?
I guarantee
the babies
I
kicking? No.
wouldn't stand in line that long. That's crazy.
I don't know. Like, that's a long time to wait for a burger. I'd wait till the hype.
I consider myself a patient person. I go way more than 20 minutes, and I think I'm about done with this.
I've ate it in and out. I mean, it was good, but I'd wait. Not in line. I'd wait.
I like Will York
like
up in our
3
control
weeks
room.
and then go get one.
He said, Whataburger. I'm like, yeah. Now we might go 8 hours.
What a burger!
That's clearly not from Texas. You don't say what a burger. It's Whataburger. Whataburger.
I'm sorry. I like to pronounce things.
All right, Tanya. I was afraid this is going to happen. We got reports of freezing fog coming in from airports right now. So yeah, please know, elevated surfaces. It's a combination of the real cold temperature and the fog that it won't budge right now. Remember, that lasts all the way until 9. And so that's what we're seeing right here. It's not actually what I would consider like strong wintry precipitation by any means, but right there in Chanute, that's, like I said, we are getting freezing fog reports. So need to be very careful right here along Highway 400. Also want to pay attention to 69, 49, and 44, because all those areas right there, right at, if not below the freezing mark. And of course, our visibility numbers, they are not improving right now. From the Freeman Health System Sky Camera, we sit at only 33 degrees. Now, the nice thing about this picture from campus right there, it's starting to get a little bit clearer. So at least we're headed in the right direction, and eventually we'll get into the low 50s. Not much rain for today. We're going to work it in. Beginning tomorrow morning, going to work in southwest, northeast, and be an elongated affair. Get rid of everything. That way we can relax on Wednesday and Thursday. Be back with more KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. President Trump continues to fight to overturn presidential election results. General Service Administration denying Joe Biden with material and resources typically given to a president-elect's team to make a smooth transition. Our question to you this morning on the KOM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll is, should Joe Biden have access to those transition resources? Greg Horn says no, let the Trump circus be finalized, then begin the transition. I don't believe it will be a smooth transition. President Trump will continue to resist Americans' voice, then just sneak out the back door. Sherry Wilson says, for all those who think Trump will remain president, with a picture. Richard Daniels says Biden should concede. And Kimberly Wright says if it's done in the past as such, then yes, he should have access. Trump really cared about America and the people. He'd be doing things to help, but nope, he is not. As far as our morning Instapoll goes, asking the same question right there, and our current results just about split right now. The yeses with a slim 51% margin compared to the noes at 49%. Remember, you can take part. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. As we transition into a frigid Monday morning with temperatures right at, if not below, the freezing mark. That's why we're picking up reports of freezing fog. Need everybody to be very careful, especially on elevated surfaces. Don't discount sidewalks as well. Don't want anybody slipping when you're out and about. That gives you an indicator of where we're really seeing the majority of the freezing fog. But even if you're over here, I-49, 44 towards Springfield, still need you to be very careful. Also, to reiterate to the kids that sidewalks could be slippery because the bus stop forecast doesn't have much of a warm-up until really we get to about 9, 10 o'clock. Big system's going to roll through the Midwest here on Tuesday. Now, here's the positive thing about it. As it progresses through on Tuesday, it's really going to give us a nice Wednesday and Thursday. It's going to be the northeastern portion of the U.S. that has to put up with it on the holiday. Cool temperatures compared to what we had last week. We'll go, low 50s, but overnight, here's a positive, able to stay out of the freezing category. So when we put future track in motion, a little northwest clip action for the afternoon. That's nothing compared to what happens on Tuesday. Watch the bottom left-hand portion of your screen as thunderstorm activity develops for Tuesday morning, and it's going to roll through all day long. We're going to see some heavy rain. Greatest threat's going to be possibility of some high winds, but all the flood warnings, they really stay out into central Missouri, so we should be all right with that. Wednesday, we begin to clear off. Temperatures still cool, but look at this. By fog, by thunderstorms, let's sit back and enjoy a nice Thanksgiving. More KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
The annual Cat Tracks YMCA National Swim Meet in Carthage turned into a whole lot more for one of the Y's volunteer swim coaches. KOAM's Caitlin Shive shares how swim team members came together to surprise their coach in a time of need.
Cherie Woody is a volunteer and swim coach at the YMCA in Carthage, but while enjoying a summer day, she dove into a pool unaware of how shallow it really was, and in an instant, her life changed.
It was just a wrong angle, and I should have known better, and it was a freak accident, and I broke my C4, C5 vertebrae, which means I broke my neck.
The injury left her unable to enjoy the sport she loves.
It's just hard to accept in general, and then to think that you're not going to be able to do what your passion, what drives you, what fuels your fire every single day.
Her injury requires multiple visits a week to the hospital for therapy, and it's not cheap. So her swimmers decided they were going to help out.
Similar to like a walkathon, except a swimathon. So however many laps they swam is how they raised money, and collectively as a group we were able to raise $10,000.
For $10,000 to Cherie from the ferry.
A check for $10,000 was presented to Cherie at the annual Cat Tracks National Swim Meet.
It really just shows you not only the support that we have for our own and our neighbors, but it also shows you that the youth, how much they respect and understand the power that they have and what they can accomplish.
And really, more than just the community, it really stepped up to help Cherie out, and I think it helped, helps them feel like they're doing some good in the world too.
That's more than anybody. Like, they worked their tails off for that, and it just shows the love that we have for each other.
The money raised will go towards Cherie's medical expenses, a surprise that's still sinking in.
I just can't believe that anybody would come together as a unit and raise money like this. It's actually like unfathomable.
In Carthage, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
Cherie is making progress since her accident back in June. She says she's determined to one day walk again. It's time to honor today's FourState Hero. Private First Class Joe Gobia served in the U.S. Army from 1946 to 1948. The private was tasked with the construction of drainage systems in Germany after the Second World War. A native of Chanute, Kansas, we salute you, Private Joe Gobia, our FourState Hero.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. Let's take a look at today's top stories. McDonald County Sheriff's Office investigates a shooting death after finding a body at an apartment complex in Knoll. Authorities say a little after 10 yesterday morning, Knoll's Marshal Office and sheriff's deputies responded to a call of shots fired at the Knoll Heights apartments. A man's body was discovered with gunshot wounds in an apartment on the second floor. Witnesses identified a suspect who had fled the scene. That suspect is now in custody after an arrest in Benton County, Arkansas. No names are being released at this time. Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas says it was victim of an armed robbery Saturday evening. It happened around 6 p.m. Surveillance video shows a man entering the Pittsburgh pharmacy. No one was injured during the incident. Pittsburgh police and the Crawford County K-9 unit responded. Anyone with information about the robbery should call Pittsburgh police. Now that Joplin has passed a new mask mandate, there are some things residents and business owners should know. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with Joplin's mayor and with a local attorney and has more.
Joplin Mayor Ryan Stanley says he's hopeful the new mandate will ease the workload on local hospitals following a letter from healthcare providers to community leaders in the area.
But I know that it's not just the 50,000 residents of the city that are going to be affected by this. It's going to be the 250,000 that do business, that work, that shop here. And so I do think an ordinance in the city of Joplin will be significant.
When it comes to businesses enforcing the mandate, Mayor Stanley says the city is behind them.
Some businesses will want to enforce this very strictly. And if they do, we are there to support. We're there to back them up and make sure that they are empowered to enforce it strictly.
And local attorney Bill Fleischhaker says so is the law.
A mask requirement is just like a shirt or a shoes requirement. If the business owner wants to say, I'm not going to do business with you if you don't come in wearing a mask, a business owner has the right to do that.
Some people have said it's a violation of their civil rights under the Civil Rights Act regarding discrimination if a business refuses service to them. Fleischhaker says that's not what the act is for.
That act, that law that people are talking about, doesn't say anything specifically about masks. It says you shall not discriminate, and then it sets out the categories such as race, sex, etc., that you can't discriminate upon, but it doesn't say anything about masks.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Just as a reminder, the new mandate runs until 11:59 p.m. February 28th, 2021. However, like the previous mandate, it includes the option for the council to extend it or cancel it at any time. Another vaccine developer is reporting promising results in late-stage trials. AstraZeneca announced early this morning that its COVID-19 vaccine is around 90% effective in preventing the disease. An analysis of trials in the UK and Brazil reported no hospitalizations or severe cases in those who received the vaccine. AstraZeneca says it will now apply for emergency approval. Kansas City, Missouri Fire Department says 2 employees have died of COVID-19. Chief Donna Lake identified them as Captain Robert Roca and paramedic Scott Davidson. Roca was 60 years old and had served in the fire department for almost 3 decades. Davidson was a 45-year-old and had served 18 years. Lake says 73 members of the department are infected with COVID-19 right now. More than 100 others tested positive previously. Residents of the Russian Far Eastern city of Vladivostok had to endure a recent cyclone, but then enjoyed its picturesque aftermath. It's hard to believe. Trees, lampposts, road signs, cars, and buildings were covered with a thick layer of ice on Saturday after several days of snow and rain, followed by a sharp drop in temperature. It said 2 days of rain and snowfall had formed a coating of ice on wires and trees up to ½ an inch thick, something not seen in the region for 30 years. Really makes it hard to clean up after a cyclone when that's what you're left with.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Ooh.
Well, Tanya, we've got our own freezing concerns here with the fog. We are developing some slick spots, not only on bridges and roads, but also watch out for those sidewalks. That was a live look outside of Television City. as the fog tracker has no rebound as far as our visibility numbers go as of yet. And so that's why we've got that advisory running all the way until 9 o'clock. Now, luckily, you can see the sun starting to take effect there on campus from our Freeman Health System sky camera. Look at the patchy frost on the ground because, as I alluded to, those temperatures right now only 33 degrees at Freeman, 32 in Miami. Let's go 31 in Chanute and only 33 in Carthage. And so what we're seeing right here, that's that freezing mist slash frozen fog throughout the northwest section. Not all of it able to hit the ground, but one should be very wary right there, especially along Highway 400. The jet stream, look at the ridge, look how far it fell. Remember, last week it was up here when we had all those warmer temperatures. Well, it gives you an idea it's going to be substantially cooler than what we had last week. Important thing is going to be a little clip of rain for the northwest today, but we really pick up in earnest beginning tomorrow morning. Everything rolls in from the southwest, and it's just going to be a wet Tuesday, as we're going to see some heavy rain last all the way through Tuesday night. Clearing out on Wednesday, temperatures still cool, but look at this, setting up for a delightful Thursday, Thanksgiving. Get rid of the rain, the fog, and we all sit back and enjoy a holiday. More KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
The surge in COVID-19 cases has consumers rushing to buy hand sanitizer, wipes, and, you guessed it, toilet paper, similar to the demand we saw when the pandemic was first taking shape back in March. And now grocery stores are preemptively starting to limit some purchases so they can keep the shelves stocked. Mandy Gaither has the latest.
Who can forget the bare shelves, the empty freezers, and those long lines at the store? Now, with a new COVID-19 surge upon us, we may be on the verge of another wave of shortages and panic buying.
Much of the concern is about, when it comes to certainly panic buying, is that people overdo it.
Some popular grocery chains are bringing back limits on some products. At Kroger, a limit on bath tissue, paper towels, disinfecting wipes, and hand soap is now in effect. There's a 2 per customer limit for both in-store and online purchases. Same goes for Food for Less and Ralph's grocery chains. At Publix, a limit on paper towels and toilet paper is also in place, but we're told each individual store sets these quantity limits.
We may run out of Charmin, but we'll always have another brand of toilet paper. Same with paper towel, same with Clorox, like with cleaning supplies. So I would just say to everybody, don't panic. There's plenty of product there.
The CEO of Stu Leonard's grocery store says they're ready, unlike last time when companies were caught off guard by the spike in demand and inventory levels were too low.
People are a little nervous because they saw what happened back there in April and March when the shelves, it was real tough to get product. But the industry's taken care of that.
And with the holidays upon us, experts say shop early and don't get more than you need. I'm Mandy Gaither reporting.
Apple is going to pay a large fine for slowing down older iPhones. The tech giant has agreed to pay $113 million to 34 states over its practice of deliberately slowing down older iPhones to extend their battery life. The payment settles an investigation by states including California and Arizona over how Apple wasn't transparent about its iPhone battery problems that led to unexpected device shutdowns. Instead of disclosing the issue to consumers or replacing the batteries, Apple pushed a software update in 2016 that impacted the performance of older iPhone models. Many believed it was an effort to encourage users to buy new iPhones, leading to Apple issuing a rare apology. General Motors still betting big on electric cars. The nation's biggest automaker by sales pledges to spend $27 billion with a B dollars through 2025 on the development of driverless and electric vehicles. The increase in spending comes as GM says it hopes to be an industry leader in the space. Currently, electric vehicles only account for about 2% of the company's global sales. We'll be right back after the break.
KOM News Now Facebook page this morning, as well as our Insta poll, as President Trump continues to try to overturn election results. We're asking you if former Vice President Biden should have access to transition resources. We'll start with Judy Campbell, who writes, "The people have chosen Joe Biden in a fair and honest election. It'd be wonderful if President Trump would stop whining, pick up his marbles and go home. Yes, President-elect Biden should have access. Trump is embarrassing himself and the country." Janice Pruitt says he's not the president-elect. He has no authority. He isn't entitled to anything. And Rick Younger says no, he is not officially president-elect. Get Jim Armstrong in here as well, who says, yes, Biden team should have access. Trump has his legal rights to challenge. However, options have not proven nor changed anything. As well as what we're seeing on the Insta poll this morning. I tell you what, this is one of the closest, if not the closest we've had since we started this. Right now, 51% say no, Joe Biden should not have access to transition resources from the White House. Now, I can tell you this, right as we were coming out of commercial, this thing was split 50-50. So it's been back and forth all morning long. You still have time to participate. All you have to do is log in and go to KOAMnewsnow.com, and that thing will update for you instantaneously. Now, we are fortunate enough this morning to be joined by our own Zach Dodge. I'm going to flip it over to him in Studio K. Zach?
Thanks, Michael. Pat Quinn has died, but his memory and actions live on. The New York native was a co-founder of the Ice Bucket Challenge, which helped raise international awareness about ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. John Lawrence reports.
Pat Quinn's life took a major turn in March 2013, shortly after he celebrated his 30th birthday and was diagnosed with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
I just feel like it's my purpose in life.
Quinn co-founded the Ice Bucket Challenge, a viral social media phenomenon that began in 2014 and raised more than $220 million globally for ALS research, according to the ALS Association. Celebrities and former presidents got in on the challenge.
Something like an Ice Bucket Challenge where people just say ALS, the awareness gets out there. Maybe a few more people will look it up.
Quinn would later lose his ability to speak, but he was never silenced, thanks to a device that recreated his voice and inflections by matching it with previous speeches and interviews he did over the years.
Whatever it takes to keep making a difference, change this disease, and hopefully inspire people along the way.
On the 5th anniversary of the Ice Bucket Challenge's debut, Quinn said to a crowd at an ALS event in Boston that although his fight with ALS was an absolute battle, he wouldn't trade my life for anything.
Hope is everything and it keeps me going.
Pat Quinn was 37 years old. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The ALS Association says Quinn fought the disease with positivity and bravery and inspired all around him. There currently is no cure for the neurodegenerative condition. We'll be right back. It's time for What the Tech. First, a Michigan physicist believes a product he developed could be effective in slowing the spread of COVID-19 and other diseases. Marissa Oberly reports.
I hope that we change human hygiene.
Dr. David Edwards wants to make a difference. That's why the aerosol physicist from Grand Rapids launched Fend this spring.
Fend is a new hygiene, hygiene for cleaning the airways of respiratory droplets.
Edwards says it's the nasal equivalent of washing your hands. He explains when people breathe, they inhale particles, some infectious. Mucus lining in the upper airway is supposed to capture them. But if a person is older or overweight, that mucus loses its function.
If you have any pathogen like influenza virus or the SARS-CoV-2 virus in your mucus, it gets in the air and then it can go deep in your lungs where it can lead to severe infection, or it can come out and infect other people.
Fend restores that mucus.
It's a salt solution that we form in a cloud with a device that looks like this. And so we turn it over, it creates a cloud. I don't know if you can see that cloud. And then I breathe it through my nose, and the droplets coat my nose and my trachea.
Edwards began researching the concept in 2001 during the anthrax scare, never imagining this is how his work would be used. The recommended treatment is 3 times per day, the solution lasting up to 6 hours. A preliminary study of 500 people, including some tested at Grand Rapids Community College this week, found those who used Fend exhaled 75% fewer particles than those who did not.
It will be used and is starting to be used in offices and factories and healthcare settings.
Edwards believing it shows promise not only in the treatment of COVID-19, but influenza and polluted air.
I think that the efficacy of this product, I think it's opening up a whole new class of hygiene. There will be other kinds of airway hygiene, in my view, and so I'm hopeful that FEN will help us live cleaner, safer lives.
Now to Spain, where police are employing a new tool to enforce coronavirus guidelines. Madrid's sprawling Rastro flea market reopened on Sunday after being closed for 8 months. Police are using drones to monitor the market for overcrowding. The Rastro is open at 50% capacity, with half of its 1,000 stalls open on alternate Sundays. A maximum of 2,700 people are allowed. Authorities in Madrid appear to be trying to show stringent coronavirus restrictions may not be necessary, even as COVID-19 cases spike. The approach is winning both praise and condemnation. Let's toss it over to Michael for a look at the weather.
What happened? Got drones looking after us now. Well, here's a foggy look outside of Television City. It is starting to get just a little bit better. I know by that view right there, you'd be like, what in the world? I'll tell you what, earlier, couldn't see your hand in front of your face out in the parking lot, and our visibility number is still really, for the most part, below 5 miles. Dense fog advisory lasting all the way for 9 a.m. Freeman Health System sky camera. This is a welcome sight. This means down to the south of Joplin right there, we are finally beginning to clear off. Check out the patchy frost on the ground. It's been a frigid morning. 33 degrees is where we stand. And of course, that humidity is going to be high with the fog. And so what we need to do is, if we see a whole bunch of 31, 32, 33s, is know that that fog is freezing. It's flipping over. So we're going to run into some slick spots. That's a freezing fog right up there. Starting to see just a little bit of rain. It's going to clip the northwest right here. This isn't going to be anything prolonged or anything severe by any means. Just want everybody to be very careful. Of course, it's going to be your bridges, your elevated surfaces. Don't forget your sidewalks as well. They can develop slick spots. Now, what's going to happen with this system really when it develops tomorrow? That's when we'll get the widespread rain. It's going to push off pretty quick. And so we're actually setting up for a very nice Thanksgiving holiday. Just got to get there first. So we're going to go low 50s today, mostly cloudy skies. So overnight, that cloud cover actually will help out quite a bit and keep us away from the freezing mark, as we'll sit pretty much in the mid 40s. You'll notice that the south wind is going to increase 15 to 20 miles per hour, and that's kind of got a formula of two things that are going to happen. That's that clip I was talking about up in the northwest. Now, as that wind shifts, it's going to bring us in a system from down here in the southwest. It's going to roll through Oklahoma, and it begins Tuesday morning. Once it does, it's going to be a wet Tuesday. Now, temperatures are going to be up into the 60s, but really just don't go anywhere without an umbrella, because it's going to last all the way through the afternoon and evening hours. Got some heavy rain that wants to show up Tuesday evening as well, and so we'll have a fair share of thunder and lightning associated with that. Now, after it rolls through, and luckily we don't have to worry about the wintry precip, we'll keep it on the north side of Wichita. Then, for the middle of the week, it's actually going to be delightful. We just get rid of fog, we get rid of rain, we set up for a cool Wednesday, but look at this Thanksgiving. Right now we're setting up dry, and that system that rolled through us on Tuesday, it'll be all the way in the northeastern section of the United States, just in time for our holiday. Be back, wrap up to this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Vowed to ensure affordable global access to COVID-19 vaccines as they ended a virtual group of 20 summit meeting. The White House vaccine chief, Dr. Moncef Slahi, could reach herd immunity by May if enough people get the vaccine when it becomes widely available. The Neosho Arts Council kicks off its silent night holiday art auction. The auction is open from today until December 11th. Proceeds of the auction will go towards their goal of raising $40,000 to restore 3 historic Neosho murals. And Joe Biden is expected to name his first cabinet picks tomorrow. The president-elect's incoming chief of staff, Ron McClain, did not say which cabinet positions would be part of this initial announcement. Let's check it out now with a final look at your favorites.
those headlights on when you take off with the fog. We gotta wait till about 9 for that dense fog advisory to lift. Mostly cloudy today, a little scattered rain to the north as Future Track shows us. It's not so much today's rain up there. It's Tuesday. Look at how widespread we're going to get, and it's going to last all day. Going to be a wet Tuesday. Temperatures up into the 60s. Cool on Wednesday, but nice thing is, look at that. Look at Thanksgiving. 60, mild, partly sunny. Can't beat it.
There you go. Maryland Zoo is sharing a special moment of one of its baby chimpanzees. Meet Maisie. Oh, how cute is that? She was born at the Oklahoma City Zoo on August 28th, and she moved to the Maryland Zoo so a surrogate chimp mother could care for her. Hospital says this is her first time laughing ever. Oh wow, laughing is a milestone these young animals typically experience when they're 12 to 16 weeks old. With Maisie, the zoo now has 15 chimpanzees in their troop. Oh, wow, how adorable.
Cute.
Oh, so cute.
Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning.
All right, we're going to be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.